Stephen, Anthony Albanese's new ministers were sworn in today. It's his first reshuffle. I wonder whether this is really his best team to go to an election over the next few months. When you see some of the talent that's been excluded and some of the hacks and also ran and failures that have been included.
Look, I think that's a harsh judgment, Andrew. I don't think it quite stands the test of merit.
Andrew Giles?
Look at some of
Jed Carney?
Well, Andrew, these are good people. These are...
I could do more, but I'll start with those two.
Outstanding.
Andrew,
you're right, Giles is outstanding.
Andrew's had a tough initiation into the ministry, and I think he will welcome a change. I did actually catch up with Andrew recently and said, mate, the good news is in Labor politics, you're never being undermined because no one ever wants your job. So I think Andrew is probably quite happy to be in a different portfolio. It is a tough one. You had a High Court rogue ruling, which completely went against all advice that he was getting. I've been there. I've been in Cabinet when the High Court ruled completely opposite to how it ruled in the past. And it can be quite damaging for a government at the time. We suffered from that. Andrew suffered from that. So there are factors at play. But I think Tony Burke is a very seasoned and talented performer. I think Tony will take to Home Affairs well.
Well, he is a talented performer.
I think he is
a talented performer. Yes,
he is absolutely.
Look, but the answer is
performer.
This is not his best team. Obviously, quite obviously, there are people of the right that have been excluded, like Andrew Charlton, that obviously should be in there. Michael, there is a sense now. I mean, this reshuffle was drawn partly, of course, the resignation of the retirement of 3 ministers, but also to get troubled ministers out of their portfolios. How much trouble is this government in? Now, I saw a fascinating poll by the Australian National University. It says confidence in the federal government has collapsed. A Redbridge poll in the Sunday Herald Sun yesterday claimed the coalition now had a good lead over Labor after preferences, 51.5% to 48.5%. Now, I don't believe it's quite that big, but how much trouble is this government in?
Well, they're in a lot of trouble. By the way, I love Stephen's euphemism that Andrew Giles has had a tough initiation, right? That's a synonym for he's absolutely bloody hopeless. But Stephen, being the polite person he is, what you can say about the reshuffle, Andrew, is these seems to be all these people are Albanese's mates, and the Labor caucus must be furious that to get promoted you have to be a friend of Albanese's. Otherwise, why wouldn't Giles have been sacked? I mean, he's the worst minister since Chris Bowen's performance as immigration minister more than a decade ago that you know only too well. I think he's in a lot of trouble. He's in quicksand. He's sinking every poll bit by bit. And I now think there's a very good chance that Dutton will end up Prime Minister. Dutton needs 12 seats to have more seats on the floor of the reps than Albanese, which I can easily see him getting. And if he gets 2 or 3 more than that, because the Greens will probably give supply and confidence to Albanese, then Dutton could well end up winning. I mean, I know here in Victoria, I think Chisholm and Aston, where we've got 2 very good candidates, Theo Zagrafis and Matty Cicello, I think the Liberal Party will win those 2, and I'm increasingly confident that Amelia Hamer will win back Kooyong from the Teal. I think Tim Wilson's now a chance in Goldstein. I think Dunkley's a chance. Victoria is turning slowly against Labor, quite a bit to do with the hopeless state government. You can see 1s and 2s that Dutton can pick up all around the country. And that poll you just showed, the most interesting part of that ANU study was the working middle class are voting no confidence in Labor. And this is what we've been saying all along. If Dutton appeals to the working middle class, which he is doing big time, he could well win this election. And it's the upper class, the university educated, the rich, all the people that Menzies said could look after themselves, they're still behind Labor and the Teals. But the working middle class are swinging behind
Steve, would you agree with this?
Will win this election.
No, look, I think there's some truth that in Victoria in particular, our vote is softened. I think the troubles of the state government recently, looking a little flat-footed about how to deal with the CFMU, has hurt. And it's, federal Labor is up first. I think that Michael's being a little optimistic about the number of seats they might win. I think Menzies and Deakin are absolutely chances for Labor to win, which would just
Zero chance.
obliterate the Liberal Party from the broader Melbourne area, not just the inner suburban area, but would obliterate them. So I'm not as confident as Michael that the Liberals are making a big comeback. I think Labor's losing some paint in Victoria, but I wouldn't go as far as Michael's just gone. I think Western Australia, attacks on our seats by the Greens in, say, Brisbane, and maybe in
Lingiari,
well,
Bennelong,
I wouldn't go
Lyons,
that far. I'm not.
Boothby.
Yeah, look, you can dream. You can recite a list of seats, Michael,
1%,
that you think.
1.5%.
Yeah, you can recite. The problem is your core primary vote continues to suck.
What?
And Peter Dutton is not.
Yours is in the 20s.
Yeah, yours is not in the 40s.
Well, it's getting close to the 40.
Yours is not in the 40s.
Don't worry, it'll be 40 as soon as the rates go up at a 0.25%. Dutton will be 40 plus. You'll be 26.
Praying that economic
26.
data is bad for Australians and that you can profit off it. I'm sure they'll appreciate that.